Well, from Michigan out to California now, the attorney for an illegal immigrant charged with murder in the shooting death of a woman in San Francisco is moving to now have those charges dismissed. Francisco Sanchez's lawyer says the death of Kate Steinle, who was walking with her dad on a pier when she was shot and killed in July, was an accident, not murder. Let's bring in our legal panel. Whitney Boan is a criminal defense attorney. Troy Sladen is a criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor. You both have very similar thoughts on this. It is a very interesting case, Troy, when you get down to the details here, because what the lawyer is saying is that forensically you can prove that this bullet was a ricochet bullet, and therefore these first-degree murder charges should be dismissed. Is that a fair argument in this case?
Well, it seems like the only argument that this chief deputy, very experienced public defender, can make at this point. And if I was the attorney, I'd be making the same argument. But I think it's unlikely to succeed. The state court judge here, who is not like a federal judge, is not appointed for life. He either has to be reelected or reappointed. He isn't going to want to take this decision away from a jury. He's going to want to be reappointed or reelected. So he's going to likely deny this motion and have the case proceed to trial.
Whitney, you say the same thing. This really should be in the hands of a jury to make this decision. What do you think the jury will decide?
I think that the jury will probably have a hard time finding that this individual intentionally murdered someone, which is what's required for first-degree murder. Prosecutors will have to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. I agree with Troy's analysis to a certain extent, although I'd like to give our courts more credit, even at the state level. You know, as lawyers, as judges, as prosecutors, we take an oath to uphold the law, and we take an oath to do that irregardless of how we feel personally, whatever sympathies we may have, whatever personal outrage we have. And not every tragedy has to end in a conviction. It doesn't make this not a tragedy that this happened if this individual is not convicted, and it doesn't stop an ongoing debate that this has sparked about immigration and gun control.
Well, and one wonders how that factors into all of this, Troy. We can't help but when we look at Kate Steinle's picture, I think so many of us, knowing the family, you know, your heart just breaks for them, especially this holiday season. Here's going to be their first holiday, you know, without their daughter because of this terrible thing that happened. And you say one of the keys to this case and how it proceeds is the burglary charge and how Francisco Sanchez got the gun. And you say that might be a very key part of this, perhaps even more than the ricochet, which is something that his lawyer is focusing on.
That's true, Jenna. Here in California, I'm not sure if Whitney realizes this. As a practicing attorney here in California, I can tell you that California has what's called a felony murder rule. It's codified in Penal Code Section 187. And what it says is that if you commit a killing in the commission of a felony and burglary of a vehicle, stealing a gun from a vehicle is a felony, then the killing amounts to murder. So you don't have to have intended to kill the person.
Does that matter, Troy?
Well,
that would be.
Yes.
No, that would be second-degree murder. But but still, you know, the act of stealing a gun from a law enforcement vehicle and then firing it, he obviously fired it on purpose. Guns just don't go off accidentally.
But they have to prove, Troy, that happened. I disagree. They'd have to prove that the shooting happened in the course of committing the burglary. And we do have felony murder laws here in Florida where I practice as well. And that there has to be a causal relationship between the burglary and the shooting causing the death. It can't just be that somebody stole a gun and then there was a shooting later.
Yeah, let me ask you that. I was curious about the timing, Whitney, on that. If the burglary happened, you know, hours before the shooting or even a few minutes before, does the time frame work? How is the time frame relevant?
The time frame is extremely relevant because felony murder statutes, and there's many of these kind of statutes in various states. We have them here in Florida as well. Those statutes contemplate that the murder happens in the course of committing the crime. If there's hours difference between a burglary of the gun and then an accidental shooting, arguably, where a gun shoots towards the ground, the bullet ricochets up and unfortunately, you know, and tragically kills this woman, that makes a huge difference, and I don't think it qualifies as felony murder.
He had to pull the
Well,
trigger.
that's
He
an
knew
issue
what he
for
was
the
doing
judge
when
and
he
the jury
pulled the
to
trigger.
decide.
There's no allegation that the gun just fell out of his hand and accidentally fired, which is very difficult to happen.
Intention
he had to pull the trigger
there has to be intent to
with
commit
his finger.
first-degree murder.
And
It
so
doesn't
that's
equal
interesting.
first-degree murder,
We'll
though.
see if that first-degree murder charge, what happens with it and what the decision is on the case dismissal and moving ahead. We expect some information on that early next year. Whitney and Troy, great to have you both debate this. It's certainly a hot story, and it's one we're going to continue to watch for Kate Steinle's family and otherwise. We look forward to having you both back. Thank you.
Thank you.